All right, I do want to get to one other little topic, and then Nick Coffey will join me. Like I said, long-form interview. We hit on a ton of college football and a ton of college basketball stuff, and so I don't want to spend too much more time on this topic, but I do think it's pretty relevant because it's something that, I talk a ton of college hoops, and there was kind of a pseudo-college hoops topic that came out of the bubble on Sunday night. So I figure it's an appropriate place to hit this now, and that is that Kentucky players continue to absolutely dominate this bubble. And the reason I'm bringing up this topic on today's show specifically is for two very different reasons. The first one is there is an obvious tie, which is that Anthony Davis, buzzer beater, Lakers, Game 2, they're up 2-0 because of Anthony Davis. I think we can officially put to bed that whole narrative of, can Anthony Davis produce in the playoffs? Is he really ready for the big stage? Yeah, when you're hitting 28-foot fallaways to beat the buzzer and win big games, I think we can put it away. I think we can put that narrative aside. I think Anthony Davis is going to be okay in the playoffs. But the reason I bring it up, and the reason that I think this is a topic today, is because I saw an interesting tweet from a buddy of mine named Jack Pilgrim, who works for Kentucky Sports Radio. And when Anthony Davis hit that buzzer beater, Jack put out a tweet that said this. He said, imagine watching the NBA playoffs as a 5-star recruit and not choosing Kentucky. Not a single school is coming close to this. In other words, what the production of the Kentucky players is. And I thought about it. And I thought about how this is a very relevant topic as we kind of get set to eventually transition towards college hoops. But it's also a topic relevant to this show because we did talk a little bit of the NBA bubble coming in, and I did talk about some of the young players that can emerge. And oh, by the way, they all have, and a lot of them have gone to the University of Kentucky. And so when you look back on this bubble, I do think the story is going to be from the professional level. Whoever wins the NBA championship, it's probably going to be the Los Angeles Lakers. And then I think from the college level, it's going to be like, did you see all those Kentucky guys that balled the you-know-what out? Are you kidding me? I mean, just think about this bubble. It started at the beginning. Devin Booker, 8-0 in the bubble, never lost a game. It continued with Shay Gilders-Alexander, who is emerging as an all-star in front of our eyes. Jamal Murray, who we all knew was good, but oh my goodness, he's going for 40 and 50 against the Jazz and against the Clippers, and the Clippers can't slow him down. I mentioned Shay Gilders-Alexander. Bam Adebayo's an all-star. Tyler Hero has quickly emerged. And, by the way, Anthony Davis, pretty good as well. And so when you look at the Kentucky players, and specifically the ones that played under John Calipari, don't want to be disrespectful to Rajon Rondo, who's been awesome, but when you look at the Kentucky players, I think Jack's got a point. How can you be recruited by Kentucky and not go to Kentucky if they give you the chance? If the ultimate goal is to get into the NBA, if the ultimate goal is to have success in the NBA, it's hard to argue that anyone is even close to the level of what Kentucky is doing right now. And when I think about the other schools and who they're producing and all that kind of stuff, look, it really isn't a shot at any other school. But there isn't a school that is anywhere close to what Kentucky is doing with their guys in the NBA right now. Duke is good. This is not a shot at Duke. I know it'd be easy to just drag Coach K right now. But you look at their guys in the NBA. Jason Tatum's awesome. He's been a revelation in this bubble. Brandon Ingram was really good. But then after that, what do you got? Kyrie Irving's talented, always hurt, not playing in the bubble. Zion, I'm rooting for him, but New Orleans has to let the training wheels off. RJ Barrett played well at times, but he plays for the Knicks, so they're kind of irrelevant. And you could do that with basically anybody, any other college basketball program. Kansas, a ton of success on the court at the college level. Joel Embiid's their best player in the NBA. He can't get out of the first round of the playoffs. And, by the way, when he was at Kansas, he barely even played. Andrew Wiggins, I would say, has underachieved in the NBA. I know he statistically is fine, but he was a former number 1 overall pick that's already been traded twice in his career. So don't tell me that he's an amazing NBA player. The best NBA player right now outside of Joel Embiid from Kansas is probably Devante Graham, who was a good college player but not a great one. And so I bring this up because you look across the NBA landscape and it's like it's a joke what the Kentucky guys are doing. And for the people who are going to come back at me, and I will get a couple of these tweets, Torres, how are you going to talk about Kentucky? They have the number 1 recruiting class every year. Of course they're going to put good players into the NBA. How could they not? Well, first of all, I just mentioned it with Duke. Duke has recruited on the same level as Kentucky the last 4, 5, 6 years. They have nowhere close to as much young talent in the NBA producing right now as Kentucky does. And the second thing I would say is very simply, not all those guys that are killing it for Kentucky were can't-miss 5-star guys coming out. Like, I think this is one of the underrated parts of what John Calipari has done the last 3 or 4 years. As Kentucky and Duke have battled it out, we all know that when Duke raised their recruiting game, when they started getting involved with 5-star kids, they've gotten their fair share. And so Kentucky, some of the guys that they have brought in have not been these can't-miss guys that, oh my God, just they could go anywhere for a year and they'd be a lottery pick. Devin Booker was a guy that nobody thought was going to be a one-and-done at the University of Kentucky. Barely started. By the end of the year, he was a very good player, but let's not act like Devin Booker was some can't-miss kid. He was a guy that was like the 3rd, 4th, 5th best player in that recruiting class. And now he's one of the probably 10 to 12 best players in the NBA. Shay Gilders-Alexander, I can tell you for certain, was not considered a one-and-done player. I'll take it a step further. Shay Gilders-Alexander wasn't the best point guard in his own recruiting class at Kentucky. Everybody thought it was Quade Green. And so you talk about now a situation where Shay Gilders-Alexander, nobody thinks he's a one-and-done. All of a sudden, you look at him, and oh my goodness, that guy's a future all-star. Tyler Hero, I mentioned him a minute ago. We all know the backstory on Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero was committed to the University of Wisconsin. I know it'd be easy, and I know it sounds like I'm taking a shot at Wisconsin, but like, would Tyler Hero be in this situation right now if he had stayed committed to Wisconsin? No. He probably would still be at Wisconsin going into his junior year. Even if he left as a sophomore, he obviously would not be in a position to be contributing on a playoff team, potentially going to the NBA Finals. And so, yes, I understand that a lot of these guys were really highly rated coming out of high school. But when you look at Kentucky, man, like some of the guys that are having the most success are guys that weren't even the highest rated kids. And it's funny because I think that Kentucky has so many success stories in the NBA now that we kind of forget about guys, right? I mentioned this before the bubble started, but when you think about the best players that played at the University of Kentucky, you think John Wall, you think DeMarcus Cousins, you think Karl Anthony Towns, you think Anthony Davis. Jamal Murray's averaged 20 a game until 2 weeks ago. Nobody thought of him as one of the better players that played at Kentucky. Bam Adebayo was an all-star this year. Nobody thinks of him as one of the better players who played at Kentucky. The point I'm trying to make is I think Jack's right. I'm not going to knock a kid for any choice that they make, and I do understand that there are some times that you go to another school for an obvious reason. Anthony Edwards, who's going to be the number 1 pick. Look, Georgia was basically like, dude, you have carte blanche here. You can shoot 30 times a game. We'll run everything through you. You have a good game. You have a bad game. It's not going to impact us. You're the entire program. Cade Cunningham obviously chose Oklahoma State for family reasons. James Wiseman chose Memphis because his high school coach was there. So I get it. I get that there are other reasons to choose Kentucky. But as I watch this bubble, man, Jack is absolutely right. I just don't know how, if you're a hooper that wants to play in the NBA, I don't know how you choose anywhere other than Kentucky if you have the opportunity, because it is clear now that whatever John Calipari's doing behind those 4 walls, and I know the critics are going to say, well, he recruits really well, and he, quote-unquote, only has 1 national championship. First of all, it's really hard to win a national championship. Second of all, he has a new roster every single year. I'm not one that feeds into that narrative of it's somehow disappointing if he, quote-unquote, only has 1 national championship. But I bring it all up to very simply say, I'm with Jack Pilgrim on this one. I don't understand how you can sit there, if you're a recruit, you have the chance to go to Kentucky, and if you're serious about going to the NBA and there's no obvious family tie like James Wiseman or Cade Cunningham, it'd be tough for me to turn it down. And if I was the father of a player, it'd be tough for me to let him turn down Kentucky.